Okay, it's the next day. The car has gotten a full overnight run to completely bone dry. Now it's time to start masking the car. I'm here with Gabe, our retail and shop manager. He's the one who normally does the majority of the masking on our cars. Sometimes I work with him on it. So we're going to go ahead and start masking all the different elements on this car and walk you through as much of that as we can. As you can see, Gabe's already got that tape and drape that we talked about, and he's going to start masking off the inside of the engine bay. You don't want any overspray making its way in there and settling on the engine bay. Here's how it works. The more you mask, the more attention you put into the masking, the less time and attention you have to put into the cleanup when it's time to peel and remove the plasti dip. If you put all the time and energy into masking the car properly, overspray won't get in between panels, overspray won't get into areas that you don't want it to be, and when it's time to peel the car, there'll be very little to clean up at the end. If you half-ass the masking, of course, it's going to be the opposite, and you're going to need to put a little bit more time and energy into the cleanup. So, Gabe's going to be working on this over here. I'm going to grab some tape and drape myself and start working on the windows. What we usually like to do is pretty simple. Just start the tape and drape along the top area of the window trim. And we're going to leave a little bit of space here because I'm going to come back in with the blue tape and maybe even some of that yellow tape and edge everything off. We're just going to slowly work the tape and drape around this area. And obviously, every car is going to have different window trim, different front bumpers, rear bumpers, diffusers, all sorts of different things, but the principles as far as masking are usually pretty similar. Just gonna trim this off here. Now I'm going to go back in and grab now I've got my blue tape and my yellow tape. I'm going to start unfolding the tape and drape just to about the area where the bottom window trim is, so that we leave all the excess up here. And we're going to seal off the tape and drape with the blue tape first. Again, you can leave a little area down here because we're probably going to go in with that yellow tape and do some edge work. The yellow tape just has a crisper line, a stronger adhesive, and it's just better for those all-around edges. It's also a little more chemical resistant than this blue masking tape. That's why we like to use it in those critical areas. And then right here, you see how this edge of this tape and drape is kind of overlapping and touching the edge of the car. You want to make sure you don't have anything like that going on. Nice and clean all the way around. I'm going to seal this up nice. And again, we'll use the yellow to edge that off. Now you want to make sure that all the plastic is sealed off so that the overspray doesn't get in anywhere. It can be very sneaky. Even if you think that it's completely sealed off, if there's a little crack left over, it'll make its way in there. So for the mirrors, it really depends on your own vehicle. Now, with this car, the mirrors are a brushed aluminum and they have a little bit of black trim on them. We like to leave that. It kind of works well with most of the colors that we're doing as a contrast. So we're actually going to bring our tape and drape around and we're going to seal that mirror inside. Creates a little bit of a tight spot under here, but if you're careful, you can seal it up real nice. When you get to corners, I like to work just little pieces at a time. It's a lot easier to work with than trying to cover large surface areas. Now, it's okay if this doesn't look too pretty and you don't have a nice flush edge, because again, not to be repetitive, but we're going to come back with that yellow tape and seal it all off. So now we're just going to go back, double check everything. This entire window unit should be nice and sealed off. Okay, now here's that yellow tape that we were talking about. This is where you want to have a lot more precision. You really want to line this yellow tape up with exactly the line that you want to create. Now there's a nice separation here between the window trim and the body of the car. This is not what we call a peel when wet area. That means that there's enough of a gap here for the plastic to cut itself between the window trim and the body of the car. Now the lower window trim, I'll show you in a second, is a different story. Just want to make sure we're covering up that chrome edge, but not touching the body of the car with the yellow tape. And then come back and press it down nice and tight. And then come back up on that edge and make sure the edge is rolled down and not sticking up. Now the bottom window trim, most of the time what we found is that it's too close to the body of the car and that the plastic tip does bridge over the window trim and onto the body of the car, which if you let that dry as the plastic tip is built up coat after coat, when you go to peel the tape and that dry plastic tip is connected here, a lot of you guys know that will actually tear your edge here. You don't want that. You want a nice clean line. So the bottom window trim here is what we call a peel when wet section. And a peel when wet section means we're going to remove this tape on the bottom window trim here when our last coat is still wet. And you'll see that during the spraying footage. So again, nice clean line covering that chrome edge. And you want to try to make peel when wet sections as large of a piece as possible so that when you go to peel when wet, you're not picking at a lot of small pieces, because that just leaves more room for error. So we're going to make this whole bottom trim one long piece. Again, press that down, top and bottom edge. Now let's finish up the end pieces. This yellow tape is more flexible than the blue and actually handles these corners a bit better as well. Okay, and we're going to repeat the exact same process on the other side. Now Gabe's got this entire engine bay area covered with tape and drape, and he's starting to work on the large surface areas like the roof, the back windshield, and the front windshield. Normally for most vehicles, one stream of tape and drape or one sheet of tape and drape can cover the roof and the windshield. Now I'm going to start working on the taillights. I'm going to use the blue painter's tape to cover the majority of the surface area. And again, come back in with that yellow to edge it all out. All right, we've got the majority of this light covered up with the blue. Now we're going to come in with the yellow. And again, this is where you want to be really precise. You want to cover the edge of that tail light, but not make contact with the body of the car. Nice little gap there. And always make sure you press down that exposed edge of the tape. Okay, double check your work, and then again, repeat the same thing on the other taillights, and we're gonna go move on to the headlights as well. Okay, I'm gonna get started on these headlights here, and Gabe's already starting to work on the grill, so let's just show them. He's got tape and drape, and he's lining the outside of the grill here with the tape and drape all the way around. This is the adhesive from the tape and drape, and then he's bringing it all up and in, so this entire large surface area is all protected by one piece of tape and drape. I know it's not included in the Pro Car Kits, but it really does help save a lot of time and energy if you utilize that tape and drape tool. So he's going to seal that off on top. And then again, that yellow tape comes in handy. He's going to go around this edge very carefully with the yellow tape to seal it off. While he's doing that, I'm going to start covering some of this larger surface area on the headlight with the blue tape. Now, as you can probably tell, the headlights, the taillights, a lot of parts in this car have seen better days. But if you guys have been watching this channel for a long time, you know that this particular S4 has been through a lot of testing, a lot of videos, lots of different products, and still plugging away. All right, guys, we finished up the masking on the car, and I'm going to walk you through the entire process, everything that we did from the front to the back, and show you how we attacked each individual area for our masking. Now, there's a lot of different ways that you can mask a car, lots of different materials you can use, bunch of different approaches. This is just the way that we did it, so feel free to replicate this approach or adjust the approach however you see fit.